This is always an interesting topic to discuss with clients, and I often hear things such as, I don't need to drink, I just enjoy it, or I drink every night but I only have one, or it's my only vice. I eat well, I exercise, I look after myself, why does it matter if I like a drink? And really, the response to these statements is the same. If you like the results you have when you drink, then no, you don't have to do anything to change it. But if you are getting frustrated when you can't lose weight, or your weight loss has stalled, or you don't like how much drinking affects your sleep, or how it makes you feel the next day, then it is worthwhile taking a break or cutting down to see whether it gets you the results which you do like. Now, there are some people who, if they gave up alcohol, it would cause them tremors or sickness. And if you are one of those people, then this video is not for you. You would need medical help if you were to take a break from drinking. This video is for those people who maybe drink a bit too much more than they would like to, or more often than they would like to, and want to learn how to cut down or cut it out completely. So what we know about alcohol is that as a society, we drink. Normally, there are bars and restaurants open, and adverts sell us the idea that drinking is fun and glamorous. From your first drink, you have learned that drinking is something enjoyable. It gives you pleasure, and so the action is repeated. Your brain recognises that as a pattern, and so takes the behaviour out of your prefrontal cortex, your higher brain, where it takes a lot of energy to think about things, and puts it into your lower brain, your chimp brain, if you're more familiar with that expression, where habits are formed so that it can be automatic. Now, we don't have to think about what we want to drink in the evening, or with a meal, or when we meet up with friends, or watching sport. It's automatic, a habit. We reach for a drink, we order a drink. And with alcohol, the reason the desire to drink feels so intense is because of the reward associated with it, the dopamine release from the alcohol and the sugar, this concentrated reward system. Because if you think about it, what life was like for us thousands of years ago when we were living in caves, we needed this reward system to make us do the dangerous things which we needed to do to stay alive. It made us go out and find food. We needed an incentive to risk our lives to find wood to make a fire. So the reward of eating something or staying warm was enough to make us take that risk. If we fast forward to present day, we still have this reward system playing out in our bodies, but there is no longer any real danger which we need to overcome in order to obtain food or to stay warm. But whilst there is less danger, the dopamine reward has been intensified. We have a concentrated hit of sugar in processed food, in alcohol. So to prevent an overload, your brain turns down the volume on the dopamine receptors, but at the same time, it hasn't dulled down the desire. So it takes even more of the dopamine to get the same effect. Whereas one drink would have been enough to get that hit before, now it's 2 or 3, a bottle, another bottle. What people don't realise until they decide to take a break from drinking is that the decision to drink always starts with the thought, I want that, even if the action of drinking appears to be automatic. The video last week concentrated on your thoughts about food, and it also applies to your thoughts about drinking. They may be, it's a relief, it's fun, celebratory. And adverts and society reinforce these thoughts until we become unconscious of them. You are always making the decision to drink, but you are doing it because the desire is so strong. If you don't honour that desire, then there will be suffering. You will feel deprived, uncomfortable. So how do you unlearn this desire to drink? How can you do it in a way which is not using willpower to stop drinking for a certain month of the year or a specified number of days? Because as I've said before, willpower is not enough to change these habits which are deeply ingrained. The answer is that you have to return the decision to drink to your prefrontal cortex, your higher brain. This is the part of the brain which is able to consider consequences, to evaluate, to reason. This is the part of the brain that will remember how drinking makes you feel about yourself the next day. The first thing you have to do is make a plan for your drinking, and you can decide what this looks like. The key is to make the plan as detailed as possible. You don't want to leave any room for error here. So, if you want to cut out drinking completely, then you put that in your plan. If you want to cut down to 1 glass of wine a night, then you plan for the time you will pour that drink and how much will go into the glass. If you want 2 glasses on a Friday night, then again, that is what you plan for. The important thing is to decide in advance what your drinking will look like. This keeps the decision to drink in the prefrontal cortex, but beware, this part of your brain is affected by alcohol, so you will need to bear this in mind when you are deciding how many drinks you will have. The next step is planning what you will do when you have an urge to drink outside of the time set out in your plan. Here, you will need to allow the urge to pass without acting on it. This is a skill which you can learn to do if you want to, if you really want to get to the bottom of your drinking habit. By not drinking when the urge arises, you will learn that that is all it is, an urge. It won't hurt you, it is completely harmless. It will feel uncomfortable when you don't satisfy that urge, but it will pass. And the more times you are able to resist the urge, the easier it becomes. The third step is to pay attention to the thoughts that are involved in allowing the urge to pass. This is the only time that these thoughts will appear, and you can start to see why you are drinking more than you want to and what you are wanting the alcohol to do. What are you wanting it to change? What emotions do you need it to take away? Because those emotions will return once you've had that drink, later in the day or the next day or the one after that. You have to be able to deal with these emotions without a drink if you really want to change the habit. All drinking is going to do is delay dealing with these emotions. They will return to you eventually. But it is difficult to do this. It takes practice. This is where coaching can really help because you have the support network there when you are doing this work. But it is possible. Some of the clients I have worked with have been drinking for over 4 decades and they were still able to change the habit. The important thing to remember is that when you make a mistake, you don't need to beat yourself up and tell yourself that you're a failure. You will slip up, and when you do, it is important that you use this time as an opportunity to learn more about your habit. What happened? What was going on in your head? What can you do to prevent it happening next time? If this is something that you would like to try, then please let me know. I would be delighted to help you deal with those urges and discover a new relationship with alcohol, and one that does get you the results you want.